Thank you for doing this. All right. Well, where should we start? Let's start with Biden's removal from the ticket, Senator, and that period over the summer that really, I think historians will be sifting through for a long time. Interviewed Anita Dunn recently, and when she was talking about people who were the most loyal, in the Biden White House's view, the most steadfast backers of the president right to the end. She mentioned your name at the top of the list. You were, there were some dead enders in the White House, but you were one of the few people on the outside who absolutely supported him staying. Why?
Well, I happen to think the President, Joe Biden, has been the most progressive president of the United States since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And I think if you look at his record, it's a record in which we finally, after years of talk, took on the very powerful pharmaceutical industry and getting global prices. How many years have we all heard talk about rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure? Well, guess what? Biden led the effort to do that. We've heard talk about the need to save the planet because of climate change. Well, guess what? Joe Biden and those of us in Congress put more money into transforming our energy system than any administration in history. I have talked and certainly campaigned on the need to cancel all student debt in this country. I think that young people who go to college should not have to spend the rest of their lives paying off a debt because they wanted to get an education. Well, Biden didn't do that, so we canceled student debt for over 5 million Americans. And as somebody who is a very strong supporter of the trade union movement, I was really pleased to see President Biden being the first president of the United States to ever walk on a picket line. That's a big deal. And standing up for American work. So for all of those reasons, I was proud to support his domestic policies, and I wanted to see him get a second term.
Did you think if he was re-elected that he could serve 4 more years?
Yes, I did. I did not support him. Look, where I think the confusion is, and I fault the media for this a lot.
That's like, you do that a lot.
This is not a beauty contest, it's not an entertainment show. Do I think Biden is a great campaigner? No, I don't. But I think he was an excellent president. And I understand to become president, you need to campaign, that's for sure. But I think we spend too much time worrying about this gaffe and that dumb thing that somebody may say, or that brilliant thing that everyone will forget tomorrow, rather than staying focused on the issues. How often do we really, now you come in, I'm going to ask you a question. All right, ready for the interview? All right, here we go.
Let's start.
All right, in this whole election cycle, right, of which we've seen a lot, we have Donald Trump, Biden, Kamala, and so forth. How much real discussion has there been on the most important issues facing the American people?
I would say a great deal. If you read Politico every day, you will see an enormous amount of policy coverage. I'm on our morning meeting every morning, and it's driven by policy concerns. I'll be very honest with you.
All right. Wait a minute. Who is doing the interview now? Why are you asking the question on the show? I mean, you got to answer the question.
I guess.
All right. Let me give you an example. All right. You got 3 people in America who own more wealth than the bottom half of American society.
Yeah.
You got 1% that owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. You have CEOs who make 350 times more money than workers. We have more income and wealth inequality in America today than we've ever had in the history of this country. How often have we discussed it?
Well,
you guys, let me ask them.
Well,
you guys have
never.
Let me have the audience. Audience, have you heard
Are you
discuss?
asking me the question?
No, that's you. I'm adoring you. You haven't answered my question.
But you asked me all the time. I was at dinner with you a few months ago, off the record dinner, and you asked the exact same questions at the entire table. So obviously, it gets asked quite a bit by you. Let's go back. Now,
All right,
I'll let you
let's
get more. I'll let you get in a few more. But I really do want to ask a couple more about the switch from Biden to Harris, because your argument is, what we bothered by that debate? Did you think that debate was problematic just because he couldn't make?
I can't hold that. Yeah, so it was a disastrous thing. Period. Everybody did. So did I. So did he. But again, what I appreciate about him is he has been an excellent president. I believe that if he, and he was beginning to talk about the needs of the working class in this country, he would have won re-election. I believe he could have served out another term in a very strong way. But all of that is ancient history. Kamala Harris is our candidate. I'm going to do everything I can to see that she is elected and defeats Donald Trump.
I mean, it happened. It's not ancient history, but we're all here right now. Putting exclamation points on what happened a few weeks ago. Do you think Kamala Harris is the best person to take on Donald Trump?
I think she is going to be, she's a great campaigner. I think she's very articulate. We're not best friends, but I've known her for many years. She is tough. And if I were Donald Trump, I know why Donald Trump is getting nervous. I don't think he wants to debate her, to tell you the truth, for good reason. So I think she has the potential to be an excellent president. I've been impressed. She's been what? Had it taken out for 4 weeks or so. And in 4 weeks, she has done a whole lot. They're all over the country. I think the polls are looking better. I think picking Tim Walz as her vice presidential nominee, I think that was a good pick.
Was he the one you
All
wanted?
the people that were out there, I like him. Yeah, I think he was, what I like about him, he's a very down-to-earth guy. He really is. The fact that he was a football coach at a public high school, a teacher, the fact that he was a veteran, the fact that he had a really good record, I think, as governor of Minnesota, despite having a very small political margin in the legislature. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you have a history with him when he was in Congress?
Not much. Not a little bit.
Did you consider him a kind of a Bernie Kratz when he was in
I
Congress?
understand what Fox News is saying and what the Trump people are saying.
You see what I'm saying? He was not. He wasn't a lefty in Congress. Am I wrong about that?
You were talking?
He was not a lefty. He was not on the left of the
Right, no, he was
Congress.
No, he was not. And he was focused. I think he spent a lot of time, which I appreciate. I was the chairman of the Veterans Committee when I was in the Senate. When I am, I was. And he was the ranking member in the House. So I appreciate that. I happen to think that we owe our veterans an enormous set of gratitude for what they've done for our country. And I think Tim has the familiarity with the issues out there to be a real advocate for them.
What's really impressed you that he's gotten done as governor?
A couple of things. I think he has provided universal breakfast and lunches for the kids in Minnesota. I think we should be a little bit embarrassed in the United States, the richest country in the history of the world, that children are going hungry. And the fact that basically when you do that, provide breakfast and lunch guarantee that kids in Minnesota will not be going hungry, and that is a decent thing to do.
Anything else?
Well, he has, I think, stood up with working people. I think, as I recall, he got paid family and medical leave on. He has stood up with the unions there and defended their rights. So I think all in all, the record is a pretty strong record.
Let's talk about what you know about Kamala Harris and her views on policy.
On what policy?
On policy generally. You guys had some spirited debates in the 2020 primaries. What did you learn about her in that contest?
Well, I like Kamala Harris a whole lot. I think she's an incredibly smart person. I think she's incredibly tough. I think she's focused. Look, we differ. This is what happens in the primary. People have different points of view. It is my view that our current healthcare system is completely broken and dysfunctional. And that it's absurd that we spend twice as much per capita on healthcare as the people of any other nation with outcomes that are often not as good. So I think the system really has got to be fundamentally changed. We need Medicare for all. And we,
It's for Medicare for all.
and she was in a position she's not for that now.
Is it disappointing to you?
That was going to happen 4 years ago. The media suddenly is talking a whole lot about what she did 4 years ago. Not exactly a surprise to anybody who follows political events. It's not a review. They always say President Biden's political. And you know what? I think I'm right, and they're wrong.
All right. Let's talk about what she has proposed so far, and where would you like her to go if you could push her? She wants to raise the corporate tax, let's start with that, to 28%. What do you think?
That's right.
Is that enough? It's a two-part.
We have massive income and wealth inequality in America. The richest people have never done that, period. They're making out like bandits and many of them bandits. So do I think that at a time when you have some billionaires who are literally paying an effective tax rate lower than a truck driver or a nurse, should we raise taxes on which when you have some huge corporations out there that in some cases are paying almost nothing in taxes? Yeah, I think what we need to do is bring about progressive tax reform in this country that demands that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes. So I think that's a step in the right direction. Wall Street is running on global housing in America. Companies like Blackstone and others. And I think they just cannot buy homes and then raise rents substantially, gentrify entire neighborhoods. I think you got to deal with that issue, and I appreciate that she used it.
She's, the right has attacked her, and Trump has attacked her for price controls. Do you see what she is proposing as price controls?
So Trump has called her an extreme communist. So what doesn't matter what Trump says because nobody believes what he says. But I think that addressing the situation, which is a complicated issue for sure, somehow controlled, I will tell you that it's a popular response. People are sick and tired of seeing landlords jack up rents. I've talked to too many people who are forced to move out of their homes, take their kids out of their schools. So I think what she's doing, and it's a difficult issue, there are a lot of details, but it's a step absolutely in the right direction. And the other thing that she mentioned, I don't know if you want to go over all of it.
Yeah, let's go through it, yeah.
All right, one of the others that pops to my mind, and she had a hearing on that, the chairman of the Health Education Labor and Pension Committee, is on medical debt. I don't know if you guys know this, but something like 1 out of 4 Americans who are getting cancer treatment end up going bankrupt or financially depleting their resources. Now, how insane is that? So if you're dealing with cancer, then you're also dealing with having to be worrying about destroying your family's finances. So what she wants to do, as I understand it, is cancel all medical debt in America, and I think that's a step forward.
What would you like to see the first Congress with Kamala Harris as president? Let's say it's Democratic. Let's say you guys are taking the Senate and take back the House.
Good.
What's your list of priorities for that Democratic effect?
Let me cut. I love it. It's a great question.
It's a brilliant review. I like to get a review.
First off, the general answer, Ryan, is what black people do what the American people want them to do.
People have different ideas about that.
Pardon?
People have different ideas about that.
Yes and no. Sometimes when you do polling and there's overwhelming response, that's not a related bullshit. Some people may disagree. Give you an example. We did a poll, I don't know if you're familiar with it. My campaign did a poll 2 weeks ago. We paid for a poll. And the results were not really different than other polls. For example, right now we have about 50% of our senior citizens living on $30,000 a year, and a quarter of them living on $15,000. God knows how they live on $15,000. What most Americans, overwhelming majority of Americans, including the majority of Republicans, believe is we should lift the cap on taxable income. So the wealthy pay more into the Social Security Trust Fund. And when you do that, you can raise Social Security benefits by $2,400 a year and expand the solvency of Social Security for 75 years. Overwhelming support. Over 70%, including majority of Republicans. Similarly, same numbers with Medicare. People want to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and vision. People are sick and tired, and we're making some progress on this. Lowering prescription drug costs. We are paying, roughly speaking, twice as much for prescription drugs as other people. People want to not have to pay anymore. So do those things, it's popular, it's good policy. That's some of what I'd like to see.
So, how far off would you like Harris to embrace that?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you had conversations with the policy officer yet?
We have a little bit, yes.
Do you think this is?
Look, like everything else, it's, a lot of factors involved, including mobilizing ordinary merchants to make that demand. Look, here's an issue that we don't talk very much about. What about money in politics? Is it one issue?
I assume you're going to say yes.
I'm assuming you're going to agree with me.
Well, we switch it back and we
I'll let you interview me for a while.
I do think money in politics is an important issue, yes.
I think it's an important issue. I mean, I think there are very few people in America who don't understand that big money has enormous influence on the political class. That's the reality. So the reason that we have to raise the minimum wage above $7.25 an hour, the reason that we are the only major country that does not guarantee health care for all people, the reason why you have billionaires that pay an effective tax rate lower than truck drivers, that's not an accident. That is the power of money. And Donald Trump says to the fossil fuel issue, well, you correct me if I'm wrong here, give me $1 billion into my campaign. Is that what he said?
I don't want to fact check wrong. I believe he was talking.
Give me something I don't do what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, hey, welcome to the world.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about. But it's not just Donald Trump, it's not just the fossil fuel issue. It's money talks. Ordinary people have to vote. And super PACs, billionaires put money into super PACs. Super PACs can spend hundreds of millions of dollars electing, defeating candidates to finish.
The Democrats is basically living and embracing that system. This issue of campaign finance reform is really falling to the bottom.
Not to my mind, to my mind, it's the most important issue that's out there. Because you're not going to get it. Oh, again, I don't mean to be questioning. You've been a very good guest, and I'm really delighted. We'll bring you back sometime. But, I mean, you tell me, do you think it's a democracy when everybody here has one vote, that's good, and somebody else,
We're in Chicago, so.
some billionaire can contribute, a group of billionaires contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to elect a candidate? Is that really democracy? I don't think so. You go to vote, there's democracy, and billionaires buy elections, it's not democracy. So the Citizens United is one of the worst Supreme Court decisions. Stands over there with Roe v. Wade, denying women the right to control their lives. Two disastrous Supreme Court decisions that we got over.
Would you prioritize that more than leading Democrats do these days?
Yeah, I don't hear that.
Because it's really falling.
Yeah, correct. And I don't know how it can fall from recession. Everybody who's followed this campaign, you tell me more about this stuff, but my impression is that super PACs are playing an enormous role in elections all over the country, right?
Sure, yeah.
And super PACs are funded by billionaires. Now, I can tell you from a personal experience, as somebody who supported several progressive candidates in New York, Kamala Bowman, Missouri, Corey Bush, both of them were defeated by huge amounts of money coming into the super PAC funded money. It's outrageous. It's really outrageous. So I may be old-fashioned when I come from a state like Vermont where we have town meetings. Town meetings is a meeting like this. Everybody gets a vote. They go on the budget, school budget, go on the road budget, and then the majority wins. We don't have people come in with huge amounts of money to buy elections. And I worry about that very much. It has to be front and center in future political discussion.
Let's go back to the first term agenda of Harris-Walz administration for the Democratic Congress. I think Schumer's coming up next, so you could actually lobby him here. What else do you want to see prioritized?
Chairman of the committee that deals with this stuff, the idea that we have a $7.25 an hour minimum wage when 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck is abysmal. You got to raise that minimum wage to a living wage, which I would say would be $17 an hour. I think that also, we're seeing, as you may be aware, a revitalization of the trade union movement.
Politico's a unionized company.
Politico's
a unionized company.
There you go.
It's been a huge change in the media since I've been working.
Sure.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and we're seeing that all over. Between nurses, between doctors, and students, and Starbucks workers trying to organize. But what's happening now is that large corporations are spending hundreds of millions of dollars making it hard for workers to join unions. We're seeing that in Amazon. We're seeing that at Starbucks. You know, we have a hearing with the head of Starbucks, Chills down here. So I think we need to pass what's called the PRO Act, which is legislation that would, you know, severely penalize companies that use illegal activities to prevent unionization. So that's an important issue to me. I think, and I think...
And Harris is already there on the last course.
Yes, she is. And another area where I think she is too. Look, as a nation, we have to ask ourselves how it is that we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And one of the really exciting things we did in the American Rescue Plan, if you recall, we provided $300, what they call the fundable tax credit. But we got a lot of money out to parents, and the result of that is we lowered childhood poverty in America by 40%.
Once Joe Biden dropped out, do you think it would have been better for Democrats to have had some kind of debate among themselves? And why didn't you throw your hat in the ring as the last man standing in 2020?
Look, I think like most of us, and I'm really dependent on the offices with the Democrats, but I think what most of us, I think most of the American people, I hope, believe that it's absolutely imperative that Donald Trump be defeated. Trump is the most dangerous candidate, I think, in the history of this country. I think he lies all of his mind in just absolutely preposterous ways. So I think there is a consensus that he has to be beaten. I think my guess is, you know, I'm happy right now in the United States Senate. I'm ready for the election in Vermont. I speak in New Jersey, but I think there was a general consensus that Kamala Harris is doing a good job as vice president, that she would be a strong candidate. And the alternative is open up some kind of wild debate, which would, you know, fracture the body a little bit. It's probably not a big idea. That's my guess, but I'm not privy.
You weren't put out of the gate with enthusiastic backing of her. Did you have anyone that you thought would have been better?
I think
anyone to challenge her?
I think she's a very strong candidate. I think she stands, we shouldn't be overly confident, but I think she's generating a lot of energy among young people. I think many of them would have voted for Biden, but I think they're more energetic about her candidacy. And look forward to her doing the election. I'm going to do everything I can to make that possible.
There are some protesters, I think, there's still here protesting for Gaza. This is an issue where you disagree very strongly with President Biden.
Yes.
So first I want to hear if there's any, if that gap has closed at all recently. Just generally, what is the main difference between you and Biden right now?
Differences profound. Right. I think on domestic issues, Biden has been the most progressive president since FDR. I work with him in so many ways. On this issue, he's wrong. Hamas is a terrorist organization that invaded Israel, killed 1,200 innocent people on October 7th. The countries of people hostage. They are a terrorist organization that would like to set up an Islamic state, period. And I think Israel had a right to defend itself against Hamas. But what Netanyahu has done is not just go to war against Hamas. What he has done is go to war against the entire Palestinian people. And it's not, I say it's not just, there are 2.2 million people in Gaza. 30,000 are dead, most of whom are women, children, and elderly people. 80,000 are wounded. 60% 65% of the housing stock has been damaged or destroyed. The medical infrastructure has been largely destroyed. Every university, 12 universities in Gaza have been bombed. The civilian infrastructure largely destroyed, more sewage running into the roads right now. There is no electricity last I heard in Gaza. And what's even worse is that Israel has stopped, made it difficult, the humanitarian aid to get in, leading to the hunger and eventual possible starvation of tens and tens of thousands of children. That is a war crime. And I agree with the International Criminal Court that said both Netanyahu and Sinwar, who was the leader of Hamas, they're both war criminals. Sinwar for starting this war and doing that terrible invasion, and Netanyahu for going to war against the entire Palestinian people. So my view has been from day one, there should not be another nickel going into this Netanyahu right-wing extremist racist government. That's my view.
Do you think there's any difference, or let me ask this, the current ceasefire proposal, I believe President Netanyahu seems to have said positive things about that. What's your judgment about where those negotiations are? Are you encouraged at all? You put a lot of faith in Netanyahu, it sounds like.
Well,
are you encouraged by the current state of negotiations?
I certainly hope to God that there is a ceasefire today as soon as possible, and that we have got to get massive amounts of humanitarian aid into Gaza, or children by the thousands will be starving to death, and that is not something that the American people with their tax dollars should allow to happen.
Do you think there's much of a difference between the president and vice presidents on this issue? Some reporters suggest that Harris and some of her advisors in meetings have clashed with some of Biden's advisors on this and have things that are left of her on this. Do you
Honestly, my honest answer is I don't know any more than my brother. I've ever seen stuff like that. I don't know.
Do you think that she should break with the president on this issue?
Well, again, the difficulty is she is within the administration right now. Again, I gave you my view. My view is we should not give another nickel to Netanyahu's extremist government, which is creating a condition where children are starving to death in Gaza. That's my view. Needless to say, I hope that she, moves in that direction. Will she? I don't know.
But you think it's appropriate, given what an important issue this is and what an issue of conscience, that even though they're in the same administration, that if she has different views, she should state them clearly.
Okay, you asked me whether she does have different views. I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is what I think the appropriate course of action is. I would hope that she, and in fact, I would hope the president, I'm talking to the president about this on a number of occasions.
Let's wrap up with the president.
I've not stopped asking you questions.
We'll take it outside. He's going to speak tonight. Have you talked to him this morning?
A few weeks ago.
How have you seen him?
If I had a personal conversation with the president, I'm not going to tell you what he said. But, it's fine. I think.
Not great.
No. See, this is what media does.
Yes, follow
I don't know how to do it. I've been talking to him, I talked to him for 5 minutes, I think he should be very proud of what he has accomplished. I think he's probably disappointed that he's not going to be the candidate again. So I'm very secret. But I hope he uses the remaining time to continue on the agenda of disputes for the needs of working families and stuff, and I'm confident that he will.
The final question is, what do you want him to say tonight? What do you think he should say?
Well, we hope, my one criticism of the Biden administration, I don't think they have been as articulate as they should be about their accomplishments. They've done a lot more than the average American knows. And maybe he'll may want to review some of those major accomplishments.
Senator Sanders, thank you very much for both being here and your
You did a great job.
Thanks a lot.